All right. My name is Daniel Young. I'm the owner and founder of Adaptive Perspective and the Adaptive Perspective social media platforms. And I am talking again about memes and really about a specific section of meme comparing ex general exchange traded funds and closed end funds and why closed end funds are so much better. So this is an unedited video. Who knows what you'll hear in the background as I film these in my house. And it's that time of the evening. It's dinner prep and homework time, and I'm trying to make a video in the midst of all that. So I am not a financial advisor. I am a financial strategist, and I do not speak like the herd. I walk in limited company, and sometimes I walk alone. So if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that I like strategy. You know that I like targeted strategy. And that awareness is key because I'm going to keep sifting these financial memes and use our investment strategies along with some general, everyday, down to earth common sense to evaluate the memes, break them down, and then give feedback on if they're good advice or not. And the vast majority are not good advice. So I am operating off my Pinterest page. Let me share my screen. So every social media platform I have pretty much has this banner. We are operating off of this memes board. And at the bottom of the board, depending on the screen you view, or the screen I view these on, they appear in different order, but we're operating with this meme today, which smaller is this one. And I keep saying the same. It's advice for the financially illiterate because it's not good advice. Closed-end funds are way better. And that's if you just take the general surface value. And what I mean by that is this. I took these 10 funds and I put them into a spreadsheet. So as of yesterday, this was the data. It has when they get paid. It has their quarterly statements, the single cost of one share. You cannot get these funds on discount. The current dividend, what that looks like as an annual dividend. It's rated on one single whole share. Like if you bought a whole share that for one single whole share, this would be your annual dividend, and it gives you the overall yield. So that if you looked at just these 10 funds, you're spending almost $2,000 for one share of each. Your annual dividend is about, well, let's see, your quarterly dividend, which is a little bit, I mean, they're paying um, at different times, but if you added up the single dividend for all of them, you'd be making $8 as they all get paid. The annual dividend works out to 32 because they get paid quarterly for 10 shares. So it's a crappy dividend. I mean, you're well below inflation, even when inflation is supposedly 2%. And inflation is not only eating your gains, it's eating your dividends. I mean, you're operating in a hole. And people can be, so I'll pick Bank of America. Bank of America could raise their dividend, right? Their share price goes up, their dividend goes up. This never really changes overall, but for you, the overall percentage might go up because the price at which you buy would be less. Then they would raise the dividend, so your individual dividend would go up. But it's not like they're increasing their yield leaps and bounds. But if we look at closed-end funds, it's a very different ballgame. If you think of a mutual fund that pays out a much better dividend, that's a closed-end fund. It operates with a limited number of shares. JP Morgan can randomly create shares. If they ever ran out of shares, they could simply snatch a make-believe sticky note out of thin air, write you a share on it, and it would never impact every other share in existence. Closed-end funds have a closed number of shares. It's a closed system, and it's supply and demand. When supply goes up, right, or we'll say demand, when demand goes up and supply shrinks, the value goes up. When demand drops off and supply increases, the value spreads out. And they are controlled by dividends. When companies raise their dividends, their price goes up. A guy I read, Brett Owens, calls it a dividend magnet, and it applies for every company, but it's certainly true for closed-end funds. So if we look at this closed-end fund, which we sold, and you can pause the video to read the small print here. USA owns 6 of those 10 funds. It's a quarterly drip dividend system in that it pays quarterly. And it's a alternate category 1. They pay 1369, and it's an automatic drip, meaning you buy it and they pay you dividends. They take the dividends back and they give you shares in exchange for however much money your dividend was. Current cost of one share is this. The net asset value of their company per share is that. So you're actually getting it at a slight discount. Now, the historical discount alert, what I mean by that is, and what I do weekend videos on, we're looking at the overall data for that one company compared to its historical value and its 5-year value. If there's that much data, if there's maybe 2 to 5 years of data, it's a little bit different. There's a little bit of grace there. But we're looking at its current average compared to its historical average, and if that warrants a significant discount, or kind of if it raises a red flag for a significant discount, because that would be significant, and it's something that would make the short list on the funds that I evaluate. Currently, the USA fund does not operate at a historical discount. That being said, if you're just buying funds on discount, it is on discount. It's also got a greater than 10% yield because it does pay an 18-cent per share dividend. Now, if you bought 100 shares, it would be $18. They would pay you the money. They would take the money back and in exchange give you more shares, which over time decreases your buy-in value. And I understand the system. But at the same time, I didn't like that system because I like cash in hand dividends. I like dividends that get paid to me and get left in my account. So then I can carry them forward and buy other stuff. So we sold the fund, and we have not bought this fund. This fund is on our target list. So same thing, you can pause the video and then watch this if you want, or read this if you want. ETW is that portfolio in a can. It's multiple sectors: consumer, technology, 5G, all the things. And it's got companies who are straight technology. I mean, like Taiwan Semiconductor and ASML. You've got Amazon. See that, I think they own Google or Alphabet. But they also own companies that need technology. Now, let's be honest, every company needs technology these days. So you look at 5G companies, manufacturing companies, shipping companies, everybody needs technology. So even though it's a consumer product like ketchup or cars or grills that are cyclical in nature, everybody needs technology. But if we look at, we'll say overall sectors, it is a portfolio in a can in that it hits multiple sectors. Their dividend policy is monthly. Cost of a share is more than the USA fund, which is going to drag down their yield a little bit. But when I say drag down their yield, it's dragging it down to 9.6 compared to 10.4 or almost 10.5. So the dividend a share right now is this. It's actually increasing based on recent history. The annual dividend of that one share, and then let's see, what other info do I have? Right, and then the annual yield. So what I did was I compared the money you would spend buying a single share of all 10 companies and took the same money here and then divided that by the cost of one share for each of these companies. So for the same amount of money and almost the same amount of access. Now, just because you're missing out on 4 or on 3 companies respectively, both of these funds own a lot more companies. than these 10, or really than 6 of 10 or 7 of 10. They own a lot more companies. So you're getting a lot more access. So instead of paying this amount, we'll say 1970, and getting just one share of all those, now you're spending the same amount of money and getting 287 shares or 237 shares, respectively, of these companies, which also means your dividend goes up. So if you want quarterly dividends, and honestly, you're never going to see these dividends, and that they'll get deposited into your account. The company will take them back and they'll give you more shares in response. This company gives monthly dividends, and the dividends stay in your account. So you can then carry those dividends forward and buy other stuff. And it really comes down to strategy. I want to buy funds on discount. We're buying funds for the dividends. And there's a lot of strategy that goes into that. There's a lot more than this quick overview of closed-end funds in our strategy. And I talk about that strategy and the system and the methodology on weekends. But I want to buy funds on discount. I want to buy funds that have really a greater than 9% annual dividend. And I want them to get paid monthly. I want them to be paid reliably, meaning the fund can cover the dividend and more, and they have room to grow the dividend. And I want those consistent, reliable dividends. And unless maybe you can make a case for a couple other funds right now that sit below 9%, but I really want 9% dividends. So instead of buying just these 10 and only one share of each and bearing a lot of risk for these quarterly payments, I would much rather buy something that I can get on discount. I mean, who wants to pay full price? But I would much rather buy something on discount and ideally get a historical discount, noticeable discount, so that as that discount window closes, the price, the overall worth of the company goes up. And if they can sustain that growth and that price increase, then they can increase the dividend. And that's what we want. So I know this is a quick video in comparison because I'm not going over the complete strategy for closed-end funds. But I really just want to show you the difference and the benefit of investing in closed-end funds as compared to everything else. Because there's a lot of other single exchange traded funds, ETFs, than just these 10. And I'm going to keep doing videos. I mean, as you'll see, there's a lot of videos about buy these ETFs or those ETFs, or look at all these ETFs, right? Best dividend stocks under $75. A lot of these best dividend stocks pay 4%, and the average in the closed-end fund world is close to 8. The average ETF yield is around 1.3. So a 9% dividend yield is crazy huge compared to your standard ETF investor. It's just, it boggles their mind that you can get that solid of a return on dividends alone. So I get the meme, how to build a dividend empire. And people swear by it. But to me, it is. It is advice for the financially illiterate, because there is a much better way that optimizes your money and crushes this dividend system. I mean, seriously, do you want a 2.3? Do you want a 2.3% dividend, half of inflation on a good year? Or do you want 9.6, which crushes inflation and goes well beyond their dividend empire? God, like dividend empire, it's more like a dividend train wreck. But yeah, for me, it's simple. I don't want that. I want this. And anything else I say is just me talking in circles. So if you like the content, yeah, raw video, you get my mistakes. If you like the content, consider subscribing to my channel. Hit the like button. It really does help push out my videos. And then head over to Facebook and check out my group there called Navigate Your Finances, where I dig into I dig into helping you figure out how to get from your full-time job into a more stable life of financial freedom. My version of financial freedom can be very different than yours. Chances are it is. But both of us can use our full-time job salaries or however many jobs you're holding salaries or paychecks towards creating a life of financial freedom. It's very possible, and you don't have to wait 40 years for that to happen. So if you want more info on that, find me on Facebook, and the group is called Navigate Your Finances. As you face the week, you are the captain of the ship. It will go wherever you steer it. And if you're not steering it, it is ambling along at snail's pace or getting pushed wherever the wind takes it. So captain your ship. It really does matter. If you can see your dreams, even though they exist beyond the horizon, if you can see your dreams and drive your boat to that destination, you will get there. And if you are just ambling along, hoping it's all going to work, it's going to be really hard to do the things that you want to do because your dreams will not happen unless you make them happen. So I wish you a great week. I hope what you're working on goes well, and I will see y'all on another video. Bye bye.